I don't know if you've ever looked around the people in your church and thought about where they all come from and what their backgrounds are. I always think that in any church you get a really weird mixture of people. Sometimes it's just because of geography, sometimes it's because of some friendship, sometimes it's just because that's the place that they've been going to for years and years and years. But I often think that our church communities are like the weirdest mix of some odd people that would just never ever hang out together in any other situation. If you're part of a youth group, it might be a similar thing. You might look at those people and think, do you know, I wouldn't be friends with these guys if we weren't part of this group. Um, Church to me always seems to be a real hodgepodge of different kinds of people. In today's reading, we see Jesus sending his disciples, these 12 people that he's gathered together, out for the first time. And we get the list of all their names. Now, some of these people we know lots and lots of things about because the Bible tells us lots, and some we hardly know anything about them. But these 12 are a real mixed group of people. Some of them were fishermen, some of them were young guys that he met along the way. One of them is a tax collector. One of them we know turns his back on him in the future. One of them is a religious zealot. I look at that group of 12 people, and that's a really weird group of young adults that Jesus had gathered. They were probably in their teens, maybe early 20s at their very, very oldest. And they'd come from all these different places, and Jesus kind of called them all to come together into this really weird hodgepodge of a youth group. And he then spoke to them and showed them, and he sent them out to do some amazing things together. I don't know what it would have been like to be Matthew, the tax collector, a guy who was siding with the Romans and turning his back on the Jewish people, his heritage, and Simon the Zealot, somebody whose background would have been to track down people like Matthew and destroy them. I wonder what the discussions between those two guys would have been like around the campfire of an evening as the disciples gathered. I wonder what it would have been like for Matthew and Simon to go out together and share about Jesus. Two guys from complete opposite ends of the spectrum coming together to serve Jesus and follow Jesus. And that image of those 12 disciples is that same image that I get when I look at our church and church communities and church congregations up and down the country, all over the place. The church that I'm a part of, maybe the church that you're a part of or that you're associated with. It's a really weird bunch of people, but there's something in common for those 12 disciples, and it's the same thing that's in common for all of us, that we're all centered around Jesus, that we have unity, togetherness because of him. We have a common purpose, and that's to follow him and to live our life the way that he wants us to live. It means that it's difficult at times because we're hanging out with people who are completely different from us, who in every other aspect of their life might have a completely different view of the world. That's really hard. As you look around your youth group or your church, or even as you discover other Christians in your school or in your town or village or street, sometimes there can seem to be lots of things that are different from us, from them. But the thing that's the most important, the thing at the very heart of it all, is that relationship with Jesus that makes us a follower of him, that makes us a Christian. And when we put that first, we realize that together we can do so much more in terms of spreading his grace and his love and his good news out to all of those people that we come across.